The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. Welcome to the show. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri, joined by Taylor McGraw up in the studio.
Up in this studio.
Brian is here in Los Angeles.
Hello.
Noah is in Arizona. People have wondered what happened to Anya, and I'm sorry I never announced it. She just was a regular, obviously, on the show for a while, and then I couldn't afford her because we don't have a budget for guests, and it's coming out of my pocket, and she felt her worth was more than I could give, and I totally agreed with her. But then Taylor stepped in and said, I have no worth. I'll take whatever you can give me, bitch.
Nothing.
And,
this coffee? Fine.
No, Anya's going to be back tomorrow. She just, it was something that she was like, I either want this or, she just put her foot down. But
the drama. There were all these comments like,
drama?
Where's Anya? What happened to Anya?
Oh, right.
Oh.
Yeah. No, she's still my best friend. She's still a part of the show.
Her love will never
there's
die
nothing
here.
like... It's not like the Andrew situation where it's like, guys, we just need some space. We're going to talk about it again at another time. It's there's no drama behind it. It is literally like, hey, I like doing the show, but can I get paid more? And I was like, I don't have any more money to give you from the show, and I don't really want to pay out of my own pocket more because not that she doesn't have value to me. It's just like, I only make so much on this show. And she understood that. I understood her. And I literally said to her, do you want to give less? Just give less. I was like, do
a half-assed job.
I was like, and she's so cute because she was like, I can't do a bad job. I can't phone it in. But I think I agree with that too. Like she's like an all or nothing kind of person. So she'll come back to the show when she wants to make a little extra cash or just because she wants to. But that's the reason. And don't you guys go off and comment like, Nikki's so cheap. I'm not that anyone would say that, but maybe I would think that like, well, you have money, just pay her more. She's already an employee for me on another thing. Like it's just too much, and it's none of your business, to be honest with you. And not that you even asked, but it's I'm sharing all of this
in case you do say any of these things. There's an answer already, like two behind.
It really, it's two behind, but it's just like otherwise I'm gonna say like what else could I say? I don't know. Like, but there's no bad blood. We are still friends.
But if you want to hear what actually happened, you got to subscribe to Diamond Players Club.
Oh, that's where we'll really give you the dirt.
Then we'll tell you the real drama.
We'll tell you how much I was paying her. We'll tell you the amount, and you can go, what?
We have
Nikki,
a transcript of the conversation that Anya and Nikki had when talking about money.
Yeah, what are we going to do for our next Diamond Players episode? We try to do something... I know. I'm trying to collect more, and then the problem is not telling them on here because I truly don't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
Except the things I don't want to hide or the things I hide now are just like name dropping things or like
I want to know them all.
Just stuff stuff that I wouldn't care if that person said it about me, but like that person might hear it back to them.
No, you're an open
because
book.
Like I've said before. Yeah,
You're like a dictionary on one of those stands in a library.
I always turn it to dick or penis.
You do? Yeah. Taylor works in libraries. You turn it to penis?
Yeah, I turn it to penis or like anal or something.
But
just
maybe they're just thinking you're
kooky.
looking up the word analysis.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do you highlight the word anal or do you put like the...
No, I don't do like the Ramses did where the dictionary was open and pointed. The corner was pointed to incest.
Oh.
What?
In the Ramses dictionary after John Bonet died.
Oh my God.
What?
It's a true thing.
Wait, do they have pictures of it and stuff?
No, I've looked everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, then
but the
maybe
police
it's her
wrote
say?
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I usually rip out the page that says anal and then bring it home with me.
Jack off on
You're
it.
like, I don't want anyone knowing what this is besides me.
Yeah.
Wait, Taylor.
Oh, I'm trying to say Taylor's hair. You just have like a little flyaway.
Taylor's hair. Oh, that's nice. I thought you were like, you got to ask her about her hair. What's going on with it?
When are you going to fix that shit? There.
I know. I saw it, and I honestly, there was nothing in me that was like, fix it. I just like, I think I just love you the way you are.
I just know, like, Nikki, you always like have told me if there's like a little smudge or something, just to tell you, just you'd rather know. So I was passing that on.
Yeah, no,
I know, I appreciate
you
it,
were good
Noah.
looking out. I
don't need
was not thinking, but I did see it, and that makes me question my whole being. Do you ever like catch yourself being called on something and you're like, oh yeah, I totally did. Like,
It's like a night and day. You're like, it's like you go into a fugue and you're like, I was doing this wrong the whole time.
or no,
Is that
like
what-
you know that you did something, but in the moment you didn't know it was wrong.
Yes, I just did that. I can't talk about it on here though. I shouldn't have said
Really?
it.
Okay, Diamond Players. Or let's just save it for that. Maybe you could come on and tell us what it was about. So lots has happened since the last time I was here. I was in Arkansas. I was in New York. I was in where were we this weekend? Oh my
Rehoboth?
goodness. Rehoboth, which is
Was
what
it
a
the
great
Bob
name.
Saget thing? You were in New York?
Yeah, in New York for that. And then we rounded out the weekend in Atlantic City.
Yes.
Oh my God. So many things to talk about. But yeah, I went to New York on Wednesday from Arkansas to be a part of this Bob Saget Scleroderma Research Foundation annual show that they do to raise money. It's so weird. They started this charity 30 years ago, or they started this charity event 30 years ago, and Bob got asked to be on it, I think after the first year. The second year they did it. And it's for scleroderma. It's like this horrible, like kind of skin disease that it's no cure and it's really painful and it's awful, awful, awful. And he did it the second year. And then the next year, his sister got scleroderma, died of it.
God.
Very rare disease. So then Bob was a
What?
part of this whole thing for years and years until he died. He, during the pandemic, Bob called me and asked me to do a song for it. I did another thing. I've done something for it. I think 2 out of the last 3 years. Last year I was supposed to, but I had the vocal cord surgery, so I couldn't talk, so I couldn't do the show. So I did this year. And it was fucking awesome because I flew in. I got put up in a nice hotel. Thank you so much to Adam Saget, Bob's nephew, who hooked it up and like made my stay so comfortable. And then the event was in the hotel. It was like the ballroom of the hotel. I didn't even have to leave.
Oh yeah.
I just go down to it, and then it's me and Ronnie Chang, who I love, is so nice.
cool.
We hung out backstage. I've never really like hung out with him. He had a story of like, oh, when I went to visit New York in 2010, and you helped me and my friend like get on a bar show, and I didn't remember it. It's so weird that you
There you
can't
go.
remember things. But I think I had a crush on his friend. He reminded me who his friend was, and I was like, oh yeah, I think I did that because I had a little crushy poo. But also, I would do that anyway. But I do remember maybe, and then I think I'm not going to say what ended up happening, but because it's mean, it's not juicy.
Oh man.
But no, Ronnie Chang is awesome and so funny. I had never seen. I've seen clips, but I had never seen his stand up. I never sat and watched it, and that's not me being like, I don't care about like you just don't see comedians. And I'll get into that in a second when we talk about someone else, but you just like, I don't know. I just don't watch that much comedy.
There's nothing I'd rather do less than go to a comedy show.
Yeah, that's the way I used to feel.
Oh shit, but it changed?
This past Saturday. Yeah,
Oh
things
my
changed.
God.
Go to comedy
But also
shows.
watching Ronnie Chang, you know why I watch comedy? I watch it like this. Oh, okay, that's really close to what I'm going to be talking about on my special. Please don't do the joke I'm going to do. Please don't have a take that's better than mine. Please don't have the opposite take that proves my take wrong. Like, oh God, don't do. Because a lot of times you'll hear a joke about a topic that you are tackling and it'll just graze it.
Yeah.
It'll just touch it, but it won't dig in. But now it's dead. Because anytime you go into that again, you'd have to kind of graze it the way they did to get deep, and people would call you a thief. So it's dead. If someone just like touches a subject that is a little bit of the same take.
Only if their thing is on only if that bit becomes like their signature bit and famous.
Yeah.
No, because even in the comedy community, I don't ever want like even 5 people thinking like she saw that at an open mic or whatever. Like I wouldn't even.
But there's gonna be things at open mic. You're not watching all the open mics.
I know, but if someone can place me at one where I saw one, that's why I don't like to watch comedy, is because if I don't see it, then I can do the joke. And if someone accuses me of stealing it, I'll be like, I don't even watch that person. So sometimes I see something, I'm like, I wish I would have just left the room because I could keep doing my bit. And I would have been earnest about it, not knowing that someone else had
armor
it.
of ignorance.
Yeah, but it's not good because you find inspiration. And Ronnie Chang was so funny. And he was talking about fertility issues with him and his wife. He was talking about having kids. So it was a lot of like the same stuff that I talk about, but it was like from his perspective, and it was nothing touched on anything I did. Thank fucking God. It was really funny. He was so good. He's like,
he was talking about his dog Luigi. He was talking about what it's like to host F Boy Island. A lot of topics were grazed, honestly.
Yeah, it left me with not much else to do. It's just at the end of it, he didn't talk about having significant labia. So thank God.
Yes,
but aren't you gonna like run out of topics in this world then?
No,
you're
it's
just
not
gonna
like
have
a
to
topic.
do
It's
like
not like someone does
more
a topic
analytical.
about. Okay, let me like. Two people can do topics about, the airplane. Okay, here's an example. I was trying to make a bit about magnifying mirrors in bathrooms at hotels and how they're horrifying and no one needs to see that and it sucks. But have I said this before? And then I was reading Ellen DeGeneres' book and she starts with an entire... all she does is talk about the magnifying mirror in the first 2 pages of this book I'm reading. And she literally covers every joke that could be done about it. Like she
looks like the moon, looks like a sandwich, looks like she just lists all the things.
It was so funny and so well done. And I was just like, well, that's done for me. But if let's say I had a bit about a magnifying mirror, but it was like, my point was, I love them. Or my point was, they make me feel bad about myself for this reason, but she's saying, oh, they make me feel bad because of my wrinkles. I say they make me feel bad for my pore size. We could still do those.
Okay, I got it.
But if we're both saying like, it shows you their skin so close up, it looks like the surface of blah, blah, and she says the moon and I say Mars or some other surface that looks like the moon, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I think that's the rule, kind of.
Got it.
At least that I follow.
But I just said that it looked like the moon, but I never heard anybody stand up. So
I was
just
really
have to be
surprised that you got
very
that.
careful with what I say to not
You
be
don't.
a hack.
Because no one's going to think you're...
Because I'm not on a stage.
You're not on a stage.
And I won't ever be.
You could be if you want. You could.
Hey,
all of my friends
everybody,
could be comedians, but they just don't need that.
Scary.
And then, why is it scary?
To go on a stage.
Yes. Why?
Because
I mean, I know why, but I just want to hear like why. Like, I'm interested in like what is the fear?
Well, I have OCD, so I would think that I would pee my pants or something like ridiculous that would
Like
never happen.
That one girl at prom after prom.
Oh, yeah.
Cassie?
Was it Cassie? I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember her last name, but I believe it was something Cassie. But that was what solidified that hypnotists are real and that it's real. Because we were like, no, there's no way hypnotists are really real. Like, people just want to
They're
act
doing it
goofy and pretend that their chair is of, their husband and pump it or whatever. Like, they're just putting on an act.
Because they're like helping the hypnotist. They're being part of it.
But man,
Not
this girl
so.
got hypnotized. She wasn't particularly an outgoing person, but she wasn't so shy. She was just normal.
Mm-hmm.
She goes up, she gets hypnotized. This is at Taylor's after prom. Taylor's in a grade above me. I got snuck in because Taylor brought me along. I was a junior at a senior prom thing. And the hypnotist said, your chairs are on fire. And she pissed her pants in fear. That her
And
chair was
then
on fire.
continued to walk around not knowing that she did it.
No, and then she took off her sweatshirt and tied it around her waist.
Like her did.
Yeah, like our friend who has bladder problems and would piss her pants every time she laughed too hard. It's a thing. But that proved it because I was like, no one would choose to pee their pants in front of their high school senior class.
No. Also, there was a girl. I don't remember who this was either, but he said something like, "Do your favorite sex position" or something like that. Like, show me you're making out. It was at high school, so maybe it wasn't sex. But this girl who was like a very Christian girl was like kind of going a little buck on it.
Yeah.
And then when I remember when Cassie or whoever it was, he went like, okay, ready, set, you're awake, and snapped. She like
that's right. That's when she did the sweatshirt thing. When she woke up out of it. But she thought her chair was on fire. And as you would piss your pants in fear if your chair combusted.
Or to put out the fire.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Oh, okay. I never even thought about that.
She was very good.
Smart, resourceful.
Yeah, resourceful.
But yeah, I saw Ronnie Chang, and then Michael Che was also on the show, and we didn't hang out backstage, but he showed up.
Che and Chang.
Che and Chang and Nikki Chang. Che Chang,
Chang,
and the
Chang.
Counting Crows.
Wow,
The
they were
Counting
there?
Crows.
Oh,
Yes,
the
so
Counting
they had
Crows. Those
music at the
Counting
end.
Crows.
Oh,
I prefer the counting shows.
The Counting Shows.
counting
Shows.
Showsing time. Yeah.
That's
Is that them?
I think that's like what is
Not
that band?
even.
It's
That's
like
not Counting
Fast
Crows?
House or Lighthouse or something.
fastball.
Fastball.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
Yeah, good
sorry.
job.
I don't
Wrong
think
band.
so. Actually,
It sounds
That's
close.
something, though.
Yes, someone at home knows, and we're not gonna look it up.
Closing time
But,
is semisonic.
Thank you.
yes.
We were so close.
Semisonic. Yeah. All those bands. man.
Fastballs go fast, almost like sonic speed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So it's somewhere
yeah,
in
yeah,
there. Okay, so Rodney Chang went up. Jeff Ross was hosting. They were doing like an auction. It was like a dinner. It was this banquet. It was a really like lovely
Affair.
dressy affair. Yes. And Jeff hosts. Ronnie went up. I follow Ronnie. I do so. It was fine. Not my best, but definitely got the job done. And then, and we were all telling stories about Bob, which Ronnie kind of kicked off, which like at the end, Ronnie was like, I just want to say, Bob, like, you know, he told a story about Bob, just being really just an amazing person and like seeking out friendship and always wanting to hang. And like, I really forget, because I was like getting ready for my set, but he said something nice. So at the end of my set, I got to share a nice little thing about Bob. And then Che went up. Che killed. Che was hilarious. Che also did jokes that I was like, stop right now. Stop going there. That's really close to what I'm doing. And then he didn't go all the way there. I was, thank God. My dogs are fighting at my legs. If you guys want to watch on YouTube, the dogs are wrestling at my feet, which is what they always do. They just need to wrestle on you. And this is when they're the happiest. They're
need
so
attention.
relaxed because two people they love are hanging in a room and talking. We're not watching like we're everywhere. Everyone they
will.
love is
So
where they want it to be. They are just
We will look at
attacking
them
each other.
also if they want.
Yeah, and they love it.
If not, they just stand far away and stare at you until you reach the
God.
position.
The stares I've been getting while watching these dogs from my parents while they're out of town. It's like they just Luigi almost. I think yesterday he glared at me. I saw him just like disgusted with like you. We should be playing right now. You fucking lazy piece of shit.
He doesn't play.
Yeah, but he's playing right now. He
Only
will play.
with
if he-
Marion.
So, but then Counting Crows, I'm flipping out about Counting Crows because I love them. Taylor and I loved them in high school. It was Dave Matthews Band. It was Counting
Forever.
Crows. It was John Mayer for me. I don't know if you were onto John Mayer that much, but those were like my trifecta. And we went to see Counting Crows in September of maybe 2000,
You know it was
pre
September.
9/11.
Oh.
I don't know. It just felt fall. Maybe it's because it was August and everything after,
you
and
in
everything after
flannels?
started with September.
If you were in your
That's
flannels, it was
definitely
definitely fall.
We didn't. We
it was
weren't
at the American
flannel.
Theater, which I think is something else now. And we were front row because this is the best thing I ever did as a teen. I learned, because someone recently was talking to me about going to Eras, and I go, if you're not on the floor and you've seen the Eras movie, I don't even think it's worth going to. Like, you gotta be close, because if you've seen the movie, you've had a front row seat, and it's not gonna be as good as the movie, because the experience of the movie is great because you're with a bunch of Swifties and they're all singing. Like, I would say, oh, the movie at home is not as good as the experience, but the movie at a theater is as good as going to Era's show on the floor, but you got to sit on the floor. Because once you're up close, you can't go back, because we would always do that in high school. We would be up close. We'd get general admission. We'd get there early, and we'd get to the front because it's the best. And then, so we
We're
went
hanging
to,
out with Beetle Bob.
oh yeah, there was a famous St. Louis guy who
Rip.
would go to every concert every single night in St. Louis. He's at every single one. He died recently, but and he would dance, and he had a Beatle haircut, and he would dance, and everyone knew him as Beetle Bob, and he would be at every single show in St. Louis all the time, and we saw him all the time. He recently passed away. Rest in peace, Beetle Bob. I'll tell you what the Counting Crows, the rest of the story when we get back, because we have to go to break. But something embarrassing happened during
I
that.
disagree.
Wait, why?
I'm proud of what happened.
Oh yeah, I think I
I'm
told you
proud
in
of
the
what
girls'
the
chat.
aftermath.
Yeah, it was not
Oh,
my
you're
best
talking
show.
about at your thing. I thought you were talking about when we were kids.
Oh, when we were kids, everything's embarrassing. Yeah, the whole thing's embarrassing. We'll find out about all that when we get back after this. All right, the dogs are still fighting. So I'm at this event. Jeff Ross is on stage. Michael Che has just gone up. Now it's time for Counting Crows. He's about to bring up Counting Crows. And I am on the side, like, so excited because I'm like nearly front row, but I'm like on the side, and I'm feeling like I'm like, I can't believe I get to watch. And it's just Adam and his guitarist. I forget the guy's name, but it's just those two, Adam Duritz. It's not like the whole band. And Jeff is about to introduce them. And I'm kind of like looking at Jeff like, involve me in this, please. Like, I just want to be involved. And Jeff is like, as they're setting up, Jeff's kind of killing time by talking about like, I love these guys. I've seen them so many times. They're one of the greatest bands, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, who here in the room is a Counting Crows fan? And I was like, me. And then I was like, can I come up? And Jeff's like, yeah, get up here. So Jeff is always like, we're buds. So he was like, yeah, come up. So I grab a mic and Jeff and I are on stage and I was like, I just didn't plan it right. Okay. Like I should have, I should have had a plan knowing that I possibly could have been speaking into a microphone about my love of Counting Crows and my history of loving Counting Crows.
Oh,
Because I would have just had a beat to like think of the punchlines, ease the crowd into what I was about to say. So instead, I ran up on stage and I just go, I love these guys so much. Adam Duritz, I saw you in high school. I was obsessed with you in high school. My friends and I touched you. We went home. We put our fingers on masking tape so we could collect your fingerprints. We put them on note cards. This has been, by the way, there are 400 people here, all at banquet tables, all old people. They don't have any context. I'm just like, I went from straight up like, I love you guys, high school, note cards, DNA. And then
did you say the dreads? That you touched the dreads?
No, because I think I just don't want.
He's embarrassed of his dreads.
We'll talk about that in a second. I chose not to say that. Instead, I said, we even stole your water bottle and chugged your backwash amongst us because we were like, we're drinking his DNA. I was like, I thought this was funny. I was like, we were obsessed with you. Okay. In retrospect, okay, by the way, no one laughed. Everyone's horrified. There is literally dead silence. There's no, it's awkward. And so I just keep going.
Did Jeff Ross do anything?
Every time I tell this story.
Did he like comment?
Jeff Ross is, no, he's confused too. Everyone, I didn't give a chance for anyone to not be confused.
Can I see this? A video of this?
No.
Oh,
I don't think there is one.
I'm going to find it.
It was so I'm like, I don't care. I care, but I kind of don't care. I've just like bombed so many times. It really is not that it doesn't hurt as much anymore.
Yeah.
So then what I would have done in retrospect, let me just like rewind. This is how I would have said it. Thank you, Jeff. Okay. I am a giant music fan to the point that it becomes obsessive and scary. I've been to 9 Taylor Swift shows this year. It's a little much. I have been this way since high school. I have always taken it to the extreme. I literally had Beatlemania for the Crows. I was a Duritz head. I would have said something. I would have just
a dread head.
I was, yeah.
A little on-ramp to the insanity.
Yes, because the insanity just came out of nowhere.
That's because you love them so much. It's honest and
by
raw.
the way, I did lie. I didn't drink Adam Duritz's backwash. It was John Mayer's backwash, but it just still, but it took the place of a. No, Howie Day, we stole his sweat rag and we like inhaled it like we were huffing.
You got to go either way with it. You do the on ramp. You acknowledge that what you're about to say is insane, so that they're like, okay, she's joking around because she knows. Or you go the exact opposite direction. You go, I drank your piss and I followed you home and I went to your kids' room and I watched them sleep. Either way would have worked.
I did not give them an on-ramp. I just flew off the highway, flipped the car 6 times. It like wrapped around a tree.
You did,
and there were no survivors.
Oh, yes. God.
And so then, so I did, why I chose to lie and say the backwash story is because I would have done that had we gotten his water bottle without question. So I didn't feel bad lying about that just because it would have been true had we had it.
Dasani.
We just didn't have access to it.
You're just combining stories.
And B, the real story that's worse than that is that I grabbed his dreadlock as he was singing a song.
Yeah, but he's white. So you're allowed to do that. But
grabbing yeah, that's true. It's like
it's not like you're like your hair is so pretty to someone with.
Thank God I didn't do it to Ben Harper. We were also obsessed with him, but he was just sitting down with a harp on his lap the entire show. But I didn't grab it. Let me be honest with you. I just
swiped it,
like drifted my fingers through it like a wind chime. You know, like But he looked at me. I will never forget. He looked at me like, get the fuck off me, you dumb bitch, which I completely deserved. So I didn't want to retell that because I didn't want him to remember or be triggered by an assault like that. You know, like I just didn't want to be one of those girls, even though I was. I would tell him this personally, one-on-one, but like in the room before he's singing, I didn't want to bring that up. So then Jeff it's kind of just like I'm running out of things I'm trying to dig myself out of it. I'm like, I was just a huge fan. I wanted your DNA. But then I'm realizing I'm bombing and the sweat is accumulating on my lower back. There's a droplet that's sliding down into my butt crack, which always happens when I bomb. If it gets to my butt crack, that means there's no saving it. So there's always a droplet that forms immediately. Yes.
A barometer, maybe.
It's like the ball dropping on New Year's Eve. And
was
there's
Adam
no turning
responding
back.
to this at all? Is he just like nodding like, okay.
So Adam's there with his girlfriend. So I also would have liked to say some kind of acknowledgement of like, like to make it not sexual. I think it was too, like, even though I set myself as a teen.
15.
I have some girlfriends who would have been like, and then this bitch was like going on about how she like wanted his DNA when and like, it would have just been like, I didn't need to hear that. He's my man. Like, but luckily I met her afterwards. She was not like that at all. She was like smiley, so nice, so sweet. But so then I go to Jeff and I was like, can I introduce them? Like, as I'm like trying to dig out, I was like, are we ready? No, I just turned to Jeff. I go, are we ready? Because then they're set up for there's, the plugs are, the guys have set up the guitar stands and everything. And I go, can I do it? And then I was like, ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest bands of all time, which I thought was good, just like cut to the chase, like Counting Crows. And then I bring them up, they walk up. And I'm already looking at Adam like, I'm sorry, that was so weird, and I've never even met him before except for, in 2000 when I grabbed his dread. And that wasn't really that wasn't a particular
He was
meet
acquainted, whether he liked it or not.
He remembered your hand and suddenly he was triggered.
He saw your hand and was like, no.
And the DNA we have been working on a clone, so I have had that thing in my closet.
Where is
for
that?
years.
It's in one of our closets. Do you have it?
I mean, we went to Leslie Lammer's house afterwards. I remember,
that
and we
bitch
put.
no, I've seen it since
She's not a
then.
bitch. I love her so
I'm
much.
JK.
Okay.
I've seen it since then. So
Oh, really?
it
And
might
you
be in
have
my
it.
house.
You have
I'm gonna
it.
Find
The
it.
clone?
It's a
Is it sentient?
postcard with all the DNA.
It's just like under the bed, like.
Does it move around?
No, he can't talk.
Oh, okay.
It's a really, we fucked it up pretty bad.
Oh, really?
He doesn't,
God.
we have a couple arms. His arms are
He's
coming out of
like-
his head.
He's like
It's
that
like kind of
X-Files
just a-
where they
Yes.
pull the old lady out from under the bed.
Yes,
She's
I've
like,
read about that one. I hear
Wow.
it's scary.
it's so good.
So, I have forgot to feed it. I have to go feed the Adam clone later. But it just
Ooh.
makes
Does it
the
play
like,
guitar at least? I mean, it just does nothing.
No, it just like gurgles.
He thinks he's playing the guitar, but he only has like one arm and the other one's like kind of a claw. but
Yeah, sometimes we just set
he
a guitar
goes,
next to it.
"Oh."
I don't think Adam can play guitar, actually. I think he's only
Oh.
He bounces around in
and
the
he
music
even
videos.
said that when he sat down to play piano, he said, this is the only song I can play on piano. Because then he played. So
It's
then
just the voice.
as we crossed paths, he says to me, he was like, here's some more DNA or something, like as he shook my hand. He made some joke.
Oh, there we go.
So
He's on board.
he was cool. And then maybe that's why in retrospect, I didn't give a fuck because he didn't care.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
thought it was funny.
And
I'm sure.
then I love him so much, you guys. He goes on stage and oh my God, I'm like getting goosebumps just thinking about it. He talks about Bob and he talks about this event that he's been playing. He's like, I'll always play this event. He's done it before in the past. It's been going on for 30 years. And then he says that Bob introduced him, like Bob took him under his wing and like really brought him around the comedy community. And he was like, and I got to know comedians. I got to be around comedians. And he talked with such reverence, which by the way, I just, as a comedian, I never hear people be like, I mean, it's not that I never hear people be like comedians. Like,
starstruck.
wow. But like, I never hear someone who I look at as a fucking seminal artist
Yeah.
being like in awe of what we do. And he said, direct quote, he was like, and man, comedians, what they do is so much harder than what we do. So
Wow.
much harder. And it was like, it was apropos of nothing. Honestly, there was no reason for him to say that in that moment. I needed to hear it because I have such, I just have such shame about not being able to be a musician that I want to be.
Well, he was
But
commenting on your intro.
Oh yeah, he's just like, wow, to survive that and to not go up to your
go
room and hang
home
yourself tonight
Live
after this. It's going to be a long December for Nikki. Jesus, to
Yeah.
rectifying that situation. So
Closing time.
So he said that, and he goes, he said, there's, which I would argue with him on this. He said that they put themselves out there in such a different way. which I do disagree with because, and I've talked about this on the pod before, but you know, let me just caveat this also. I just heard Joe List's podcast, Mental Metal Jacket or something it's called. I don't know what it's called, but it's really good. It's Joe List's podcast where he talks about mental health. And he had on Henry Phillips, who is one of my favorite comedians and writers and jokes. He's just one of the funniest guys ever. Punching the Clown, a movie that I'm in, and Punching Henry, the sequel, which I'm also in. But he had Henry on, and we were listening to that podcast this weekend, me and my friend Sean, and they were talking about singing and how, because Henry sings in his act, and he also is a comedian, but how singing is, Joe was making the same point I make, which singing is so, I think, much more vulnerable than being a comedian and being yourself, because I think it's so embarrassing to be like, he compared it to character work too. Like if you're a comedian doing like voices and like big bits where you're doing act outs, it's so much more putting yourself out there if that bombs and because there's effort behind it. There's clear effort. Whereas if I'm just on stage telling you about my trip to Starbucks in my normal speaking voice and I have a couple jokes that don't do well, there's not a lot of putting out on the line because I'm not trying. Whether or not even if I'm talking about my vagina, if I'm doing it like this in a conversational tone, or I'm talking about something that is like, you know, seems really like, wow, Nikki, thank you for sharing that. I'm not trying because I'm just talking like this. Like, it's not like I'm doing it like this and I'm like that. I realize what makes me nervous is effort.
Yeah.
Because if I put in effort and it fails, that's so much more embarrassing than no effort. And that's why I do think that musicians, for me, do something that's harder, because especially ones that sing songs that they wrote, because it's so...
And you add sincerity on top of effort, and you're like, oh my God.
Moaning. Singing is crying. Singing's like, It
reminds me of doing sketch comedy, which I think is the saddest way to bomb, because if you bomb with sketch comedy, I just remember doing shows and then having to like pack up all my props that didn't work to put on a plane. Like, oh no, this fake chicken has to go in this bag. No one laughed at it at all.
Yeah, Rick Glassman uses a puppet on stage, and he says when he gets home at night, sometimes he like takes it out and like tucks it in. And he's like, that's the saddest night of my life, is like taking it out and like arranging it so it's like propped up perfectly and kind of just like closing its eyes and like just any effort, like even in my own act, like when I write a bit that has some sort of memorization value to it, where it's like it hinges on me like remembering this thing and then saying this thing and then doing this thing and then sticking the landing, like even that I get so nervous, because if that bombs, it's so that bead of sweat will start forming. Whereas if I'm just like shooting from the hip talking about something and it doesn't go well, there's no I didn't lose anything because I didn't try. So you can't be mad at me if it's bad. My whole life is this.
Yeah.
I pack my schedule so that if you go, Nikki, that thing sucked that you did, I'll go, well, I'm so busy, it should suck. Look at my schedule.
You need that
but and Chris the other day was like, you got to clear out your schedule. You got to make time to work on the special. And like, all you do is the special. All you do is the podcast, voice lessons, and the special. Nothing extra. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, because if the special's not good, I'll have no excuse.
Because you're a 3 on the Enneagram.
Really?
Oh,
is that what 3s do?
yes. If you start even like being like, I think something's wrong with me if you're not busy, because you need to be occupied all the time.
But is it inherently an excuse for a low self-esteem, which you don't want to be revealed for? Because if you try at something and it fails, that means you're bad at it. Because you tried. But if you don't try, you can always say, I'm not bad, I just didn't try.
Yeah.
Ugh. So then Adam Duritz, this is my second favorite part. He goes, you know, he's like saying comedians, what they do is so much harder. He was like, they really put themselves out there. He was like, and that's why I'm in awe of these guys. And he catches himself saying guys, and he's kind of like referencing me and Ronnie and Jeff that are kind of standing to the side. Che's long gone at this point. But he's like, you know, that's why I'm in awe of these guys. And then he like positions himself on the piano to start playing, and he goes, and Nikki. Oh. And I was like, yes, because I don't care when guys say guys for women. I'm not like in the Now and Then movie where it's like, we're girls. Some of us are girls. There's like a line in that movie. But just that he said my name was like, yes.
Yeah.
And so then this is the cool part. Okay. So he played 3 songs. The first song was beautiful. I don't remember what it was. The second song, he kept making a joke before each song. The first song he did, he was like, he said something about at the beginning, like, all of these songs are about Bob. I wrote them all about Bob. But he was like saying like, they aren't, but like, let me just pretend like they are. Like, this is a night for Bob. So it was kind of established that was the joke or whatever, that these aren't going to be about Bob, but like, let's just say they are. So he goes in the song and he goes, and so this next song is also, this is 100% about Bob Saget. And then he plays the song, and in the song is a character's name, Bob. He's like, the song is about a guy named Bob. And you can see his face as he's singing it, like, whoa. And then he finishes the song and he's like, can I just say, I didn't remember that song had Bob in the name. It was so weird that I said it was going to be about him. And then Bob, he was like, and maybe if you're not an artist, and I don't mean to be like, as an artist, I can totally relate to this, but you might go, how did he not know Bob was in the name? Sometimes I tell a joke and I have, like, there are kids in the room and I don't realize, oh, fuck, this joke, not to use the word again, hinges on the fact that I say I squirted all over his face or something. I'll like forget that that's in the joke, like, you know? So there's all the time that you have content within these things that you've made and been doing for years that you forget like what it even is. You're like thinking of your grocery list. So then he was like, that was so weird. Like, he's kind of like, I can't even believe that. And then I just grabbed Jeff and I was like, that was Bob. I was like, Bob is in the fucking room tonight. There's no question that Bob was like, oh, you're going to make a little joke about these songs being about me? You're going to sing a song with my name in it and make everyone think about me, and everyone's going to tear up because it sounds like it was about a tall man named Bob, like the song was. And it wasn't even a
song is this?
Maybe look up the lyrics, Noah, like Counting Crows, Bob, tall, because I think those were 3 words that were in it. I'd appreciate it if you would, just so people could maybe go give it a listen. So then Jeff was like, whoa, that was. And I don't like to think of, I just felt Bob in the room. And that's what I said on stage. I was like, I just love this night because I feel like he's here. It's just such a celebration of him. His wife was there, Kelly Rizzo, who I absolutely love. We got to like hang out and talk about her appearance on Special Forces, which is that show where celebrities go on and like have to tough it out. And it was really fun to talk to her about that and how I want to do that show someday.
Hell yeah.
But then after the show, after the show ends, then they play Long December. And let me just say, thank you, Adam Duritz, because sometimes he can get a little liberal with what he wants to do with a song.
Oh yeah.
Like, he can change it a little bit and be like,
Long
it's been
December.
a long December and there's reason to believe.
Aquarius
maybe, like,
ass.
yeah.
No, I hate
You
that.
could probably Enneagram him. But he, he just does that. He like likes to mix it up for himself. It's his prerogative. But he fucking stuck to the song, and he only did one part where it was like, and you know what I really loved that he stuck to was there's at the very end it goes na 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 na, and I really didn't think that he would stick this part, but he goes na 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 yeah. He did that part, and it was like, yes, that's the part you don't. We would be okay if you didn't do that because it's an but it's such an essential part of the song. It was so good, and then afterwards, and everything he said, like, as someone who speaks for a living and just got done being a total mush mouth and literally not making any sense when I did his intro, he was so amazing at what he said. It was all poignant. It was like tear jerky. It was just like, usually musicians are like, zip it, like just sing. But he really said some good things. So afterwards I was like, I really want to meet him. But I'm like, also, I kind of said that I wanted his DNA and I don't want to go up and like his girlfriend's there. I don't want her to feel like I'm like trying to make, I don't know. I just didn't want it to feel weird. So I was like, and Jeff is friends with him. And so I was like, Jeff, will you introduce me to Adam Duritz? Which I really think this is the first time in my life I've ever asked someone to introduce me to someone. I am not someone who does that. I think it's kind of annoying. Like, do it yourself. And so Jeff's like, sure. And then I was like, no, that's stupid. I'll just go up to him. Like, I don't know what I'm thinking because Jeff's like, I really want to go. But I was like, no, Jeff, I can do it. And he was like, no, I'm going to. So Jeff goes over, introduces me to him. And I'm just like, I love you. I was like, I just need you to know you are so talented. I felt like his grandmother. I was like, you have so much talent. What you said. And I said, your voice has not changed. I was
And
like,
you're
your
so
voice
handsome.
sounds just such
You're a candy.
You're just the goodest
Yeah.
boy in the
Are
world.
they feeding you on the road? Yeah. I just told him because his voice sounded, it hasn't aged at all, and voices obviously age so much. It made me laugh on the girls' chat the other day when Hala was talking about aging. And Hala was like, I don't care. Hala talks everything like this.
I don't even care
This
about
is
that.
for those of you who are keeping score. This is the friend who pees when she laughs too hard. Hala's like, and I know Hala's listening now. Hala was like, I don't even care about like wrinkles and like my face like sagging. I don't care at all. Like
I'm just
at
trying to
all.
live and
I
have
don't care about gray
adventures.
hair. All I care is I like don't want like an old voice, like a weird. It was making me laugh so hard that Hala doesn't care about anything except having like a voice.
She doesn't want to be like her mom like this, but still have an old voice.
Yeah,
Is
her
Mrs.
mom's
Holly's
voice is like this.
Yeah, you
It's
can't
girls,
help it.
Which her mom had a girl growing up, and we would always wake up to girls. It was like
Wake up,
girls. Would you like some chocolate chip cookies, girls? I made some graham cracker crusts. It was always she was like the most chipper woman.
I ran 4 miles. Would you like 3 cookies
Yeah,
each?
she had a very active mom, and now her mom, Hala's mom, is obsessed with veterans for some reason. I don't know why it makes me laugh so hard because it's so sweet. But her mom, like on Instagram, is constantly posting things about like honoring our veterans. She's always doing like a veterans run, a veterans swim. Like she's always posing next to someone who looks like a corpse, like, and she's like, she's always like leaning down next to their wheelchair, like, thank you for your service. I think it's probably some way for her to feel connected to her father, who's probably
Grandfather
passed or something. Yeah.
yeah.
But I saw it was Veterans Day, and I wrote to Hala, you better fucking wish your mom a happy Veterans Day. And she was like, thank you so much for this reminder. She was sincere about it. I was like, oh, I was just joking. But she was like, no, this is going to get me so many points.
So mad if I don't.
But yeah, I always think about Lisa Holly when I think about veterans. I think it's so sweet that she's passionate about them. Okay, we got to go to break. I'll come back and tell you more stuff when we get back. All right, we're back. So Brian, you were saying before, and you agree with me, watching stand-up as a stand-up comedian, no thank you. Like going to a stand-up show. What was the last stand-up show you went to?
That I just bought tickets to?
In the seats. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember, but years. I mean, I went to see Patton Oswalt in San Diego before he filmed his last special, which, you know, the special wasn't ready. So it was just kind of like watching someone try to figure stuff out on stage for an hour. So not locked in.
Well, I kind of like that. Show me. I need to see more of that. I want to see comedians not being amazing. And like, that's what
the show was good. The show was good. It's just,
yeah, he's one of the best. So
he's
yeah,
one of the,
sure
I mean, he is one of the best comedians of all time. I just saw him early on developing his hour, and I was like, I've seen enough comedy that like, I'm not interested in seeing
I know what's happening
someone figure it out. I want to see his bits at the end when they're all finished and like, oh my God, that's genius.
Did I tell you about the trick about bringing your notes on stage? Have I talked about that on here?
No, what's the trick? I want to know.
Okay. Well, I ran into, I think, Whitney Cummings. I mean, I don't think it was. I know it was. I'm just trying to think if I should name names. But we were talking about someone we were on a show with or something who had, I know what it was. I was like, Whitney was leaving. I was coming to the Improv. We were talking in the lobby. She was like, oh, I'm headed to Burbank right now to do Flappers. And I was like, oh God, Burbank, that's a far drive. She was like, I can't develop material anymore in Hollywood. Like there could be like the president of Paramount could be in the room and see me bomb working on a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And I go, you know what? And this is something I think I shared with her more than we came up with it together. But I was like, I've been seeing certain comedians bringing their notes on stage, and it is not because they need them. It's because it gives what I was just talking about. If it's bad, you can go, they were working things out. They need to practice, so it excuses it. Yeah. But I saw this person using their notes, and then I saw them 2 months later using their notes and doing the same jokes. And the bar gets so lowered if you see someone being like, this is some new stuff, I'm going through. Yeah. But the person I confirmed it did not need their notes. And then subsequently, everyone I would talk to about seeing this person would say, it was so cool the other night. I got to see him working on new stuff. And I said, it's not new stuff. I've been seeing that. And I go, let me tell you the jokes they were working on. Da 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 da. And they go, yep. And I go, I saw that 2 months ago. That is not new. That person gets on stage all the time.
Yeah.
But it's smart. I don't begrudge that person because they have figured out a way to make it. That's alternative comedy, though. Is like this. There was this, surge of Janine Garofalo brought notes on her special, on her HBO special, to make it look like I don't care, because being like you don't care is care.
It's care.
Yeah.
And so, but I.
This is
don't
why
like to go to stand-up shows
this is why LA is the worst place to do comedy, I think, because the audience is always filled with agents or someone in the industry.
I know,
They're not good laughers.
Believe how much people have seen me bomb.
It's crazy.
People.
You got to go up there and do your best. You can't work on anything unless you're at very specific rooms where you just guaranteed no one's there. But man, with someone like me, it sucks. It fucking sucks, because it's like no one knows who I am. I go up there and it's like, if I don't do my best stuff, their first impression will be, you're a piece of shit and you're white.
I think what you do is you got to do your best stuff, and then you pull out that little piece of paper and you go, here's some new stuff. And if it's not good, you put the paper back away and you get back to your good stuff.
I go up there, I do my jokes. If they start bombing, I pull out a piece of paper and then I go, by the way, I was trying out these jokes on this piece of paper, but if it's doing well, I keep the paper in my back pocket and I say, I'm just fucking awesome.
I brought a paper on stage the other night because I am working on memorizing like the order of this one bit, and I'm usually just like fucking grab bagging at shit on stage. And Brian is helping me very much on my special, like organize it and put it into an order. And so I wrote it all out in an order the other night. And I mean, it was like 100 words listed, because it's like, I need to remember every little joke. So it's 100 words for like a 10-minute bit. And I put it on the stool next to me, and I just kept looking down. I was so scared someone was going to be like, she wasn't even ready. But it was like, no, this is more effort than I've ever put in my life. Like, I'm actually trying harder on this show than you think. But it did feel weird to like look down at notes, even though I definitely needed notes for the first 10, I would say 6 years of my career. I was like 5. I was obsessed with bringing notes on stage. I would never not.
They become a crutch. You get to the point where you can't do it without notes. Even if it's memorized.
Now I would never bring notes. Bringing notes on stage is crazy to me now. But and that sounds like a brag, but it's just whatever you do, like the habits you form stick. So okay, getting to the point. Have you ever heard of Sebastian Maniscalco?
I've heard of him, but I don't know.
Okay, that's good. That's good enough. So on Saturday night, I was in Atlantic City. I was at the Hard Rock. It was an amazing show. So much fun. Thank you to everyone who came out. And also in Rehoboth Beach, you guys were a little rowdy, a little different, but I also appreciate you. And I met one bestie backstage in Rehoboth because it wasn't a meet and greet, but he, I forget how, I figured out some way to get him back. And if you try very hard, you can find a way, always. But if you can't, it's not because I like barred you from it. Okay. And then Saturday, Atlantic City, I do my show, I do my meet and greet, and then Matt, my tour manager, is like, hey, the promoter is doing Sebastian's show too at the Borgata. It's across the way. Do you want to go see it? He's doing a 10 o'clock show. And I was like, yeah. Well, before the show, he actually brought this up. I was like, yeah. But I was also thinking, there's no fucking way I'm going to want to go see a show after I've done a show and a meet and greet and eaten too much for dinner and just been like, I want to just go to bed. But I was like, no, let's go. Because it was me, Anya, my friend Sean O'Brien. I was like, let's go see Sebastian. So we get in a van, we drive over to the Borgata, we get like 8th row, and we are in the spotlight. Like, there's no way we can get out early. Like, I don't sit in seats like this to see. I just, it doesn't happen to me. But I'm like, you know what? This is like, actually, I'm in a really good mood. And the stage is in the center, and then it's it's in the round. And I'm like, this is really cool. And let me just like surrender to this night being like, I'm in the audience. Good, like take off your little like comedian brain and have fun.
I can't do that.
And you would have been able to in this moment. I'm not kidding you, because I was fighting it the whole time and it kept happening. So then Sebastian comes out and I have an announcement. He's my favorite comedian. I think he's up there with Louis. He's up there with Burr. He's up there with Carlin. He's up there. I mean, he is Patton. if we're talking about the Chappelle, Sebastian Maniscalco is one of the greatest comedians who will ever live. It was so fucking funny. And I do say that like him because it was fucking hilarious.
He's infectious.
It was so good. It was all I can say about it is that it was, if he would have just been standing at a microphone, resting his leg on a stool or sitting on a stool, Marin style, Cosby style, if he was raping some girl in the back, if he was just standing there, it would have been just as funny. So I think that I used to have it in my head that Sebastian was a lot of like, not gimmicks, but I think some people can think he's gimmicky because he's very active and he acts out things and he does character voices and he does like weird inflections with his voice. Final thought, Sebastian doesn't need any of that shit. That adds color and a pastiche. I don't know what that word means, but it feels right. That adds texture to an already A+ set of material and jokes. There was, if you read it in a transcript, you'd be laughing. He could write a book and you'd be laughing, and you don't need to hear his cadence, but adding his cadence, his rhythm, his almost like ballet type limberness and just choreography through the show was so fun. It took me on a fucking journey. I felt a rejuvenated sense of like, wow, this is the best art form ever. It was like seeing Era's tour.
Awesome.
It was because he would turn around in the round so perfectly. He'd be facing you and then he would turn and then his back's to you, but then you look up and there's a screen and then he's right there. So like he's always right there. He then did crowd work for a bit. The lights came up and he made fun of people and it was so just, pitch perfect. But he also like didn't shy away from being dirty. He didn't shy away from being weird. He didn't shy away from being really inappropriate. He at one point he made a joke about Make-A-Wish kids that was like in the joke, right? And he was, it was, I'm not gonna kill the joke, but he does something to Make-A-Wish kids that isn't that nice, right? He like he
takes the wish.
He doesn't do anything violent, but he kind of like he butts them in line, essentially, is the joke. And then you can tell it's like I'm not that well versed in his material to know, but I felt like it was like maybe a departure for him to make a joke that kind of dark, right? So then he stops and he's like, I just want to take a break and say, that was a joke, okay? I don't want any letters tomorrow where you write, I have a Make-A-Wish kid and he insinuated that they cut him in line. He goes, that was sarcasm. He was like, which is not the first time a comedian's done that, to like take a break and walk you through like why it's a joke. But it felt, the way he did it was so funny and also left no room for anyone to be offended. And he really explained what it was and that it wasn't, and he had a venom for the person that would write that. He wasn't like, I'm sorry. There was no like, it was like, you're a fucking idiot. He didn't say that, but you are an idiot if you would ever get offended by that. And it was just, I don't know. And being with Anya and like laughing next to her, can I just say, it's pretty fun to go to comedy shows with friends and like, and share laughter with people and like turn around and go like, it's so true. Oh my God. That thing you did about Venmo. I heard around me, guys going, I got to remember that one. Like everyone is just, and then there's couples that are pointing to each other like, you're the one that does that. It's so fun. And I got to say, people should go to more comedy shows. I should go to more. And I did feel a little bit like watching how great he was. I felt a little bit like Ashley Simpson at Taylor Swift's concert. But I will say, I don't say that disparagingly. I am definitely on the same path as Sebastian Maniscalco. I worked with Sebastian Maniscalco in 2009 or 10. And I don't remember him being this fucking good. Yeah. So in my mind, that is a nice, I remember him being good. But I don't remember being like jaw on the floor like I feel like right now good. And so that soothed me that he has 10 years on me, has 11 years on me.
And he blew up just over the last like 4 or 5 years.
I can get there. Yeah. And that I'm on that same
trajectory,
like escalator, but only if I fucking put the work in. Because let me say, this is the difference between Sebastian and anyone else who's been doing it as long as him. This guy is obviously very naturally talented. The amount of work I've been putting in on my special recently is indicated to me like, okay, this is what it takes to be that. And so it's made me realize that this guy works a lot harder than most people. and is and that's what it takes to be a Taylor Swift. That's what it takes to be the best at what you do, is not just natural talent. It's like it's work. And I wrote something about him on Instagram the next day being like, it was so good, on my story. And he wrote back like a really nice thing about it's always an honor to have another comedian in the crowd. And I know Sebastian, like I run into him at shows and stuff, and we don't stay for each other's sets. I just know that he's horrible to follow because it's just he's unfollowable because he's too funny, and everyone just is like, well, nothing can beat that because it's too good, and it's true. But he wrote back, and I wanted to write to him. I fear for you the next time you see me, because I am going to be asking so many questions about everything that your process, like how you do this, and I will be using masking tape on my fingers and putting them on a note card later. And I will take your water bottle. And
it was Scotch tape.
Around. Scotch tape is what I meant, not masking tape. It was Scotch tape. In my mind,
so we could see the disgusting.
So we could see the
cells impregnated with his juice.
the greasy cells. Yes, of the dreads.
Dread juice.
Dreads. Yeah, I just I wrote to. Did I write to you, Brian? I wrote to so many people like, my life is changed. Sebastian is the best comedian
I'm gonna have to look
in
him up.
the world. He's
so funny.
I gotta say, like, the live show of I'm gonna fly Chris out. We're gonna go see him. Like, I'm gonna find his show again, or go to because I think he has a residency at the Borgata. It is worth the $300 ticket, whatever it is. It's fucking worth it, dude. It's a show I'll never forget. And I've been to 9 Era shows, and I will remember this one as much as all of those. Like, it was.
Yeah, he put it all together. He's got the material, he's got the persona, he says things funny, he acts out things funny. And it's just like one of these guys that is like a direct line to you laughing. It's not like, oh, I thought about that and it's funny. It's like you're laughing at just like the aura of what's happening on stage.
Yeah. It was just I don't know. It just
kind of like Patrice. Like when Patrice steps on stage, it's just like no matter what this guy does now, it's going to be funny. His material doesn't even have to be that good, even though it is. That's what Sebastian has reached, maybe.
I listened to Patrice's special in the car on the way to Atlantic City with Sean when we were driving, and it's so fucking good. And he actually has the same argument that I have. I felt very much seen because I wouldn't say famously, but I notoriously don't care if my partner were to be attracted to other women, have other women be attracted to him, whatever.
True.
And I've always felt weird about that. But Patrice says that women, you should want that because men wanting women is like a fisherman. And you got to go out and fish, and you don't keep every fish you get. You just want to reel it in and say, I could get this. And you should want men to want to feel like they still want to fish. And he says a wife is just a fish that jumps in your boat after you're trying to release it and just
got
keeps
lipstick
jumping
on.
back in. And then they say, you can never fish again. This should be enough for you. Don't ever, and he's like, I just want to get it and then like pose with it. Like I just want to take a picture with my catch. I want to be able to say I could do it so that I feel vital and alive. It doesn't mean I'm gonna. And then he has his whole thing about we cheat for you. I'm trying to find some happiness without hurting your feelings. It's for you. It's so good. Yeah, he's incredible.
God damn
and he
it.
does that whole special. He talks about how has diabetes and he can't.
Yeah,
he talks about
his
food
piss
addiction.
tastes like his girlfriend tasted his piss and it tasted like Fruity Pebbles. And
birthday cake.
Or birthday cake, yeah.
Yeah, she was like, honey, your piss is scrumptious. He was like, that's love.
The fact that he only had one special is just a crime against comedy.
It is.
He had his half-hour special also.
Yeah.
But when he was fully formed and he did Elephant in the Room, that is the pinnacle of comedy. It cannot get better than that. And I can't even imagine what we lost. I mean, the amount... it's the same thing with him, with Carlin. It's just like Geraldo.
Yeah. Hedberg. I think of all the little jokes that are just not being written because Hedberg's not alive.
I want to know what their perspective is on what's happening in the world today. That's what we lost.
Gotta go to heaven.
Of all.
Yes, is that perspective? We lost Geraldo right before. I guess not right before Trump, but we lost Carlin and him right before all that. It would have been nice.
Disaster.
But at least we have insert comedian who never says anything about anything to listen to. There's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
But at least we still have that person
Let's
putting out specials
Brian
regularly. No, you've got stuff to say. And by the way, Brian will be opening for me coming up in Brea. I think that's the first weekend in December.
Yeah, December 6th or something, 7th. 6th,
yeah,
7th,
something
8th.
like that. Yeah, 6th, 7th, 8th in Brea, California at the Improv. If you want to come see me there. I will be at the Tempe Improv this weekend, Thursday and Friday with Pete Lee. 2 shows Thursday, 2 shows Friday.
Yeah.
Just added a Thursday show. I know, I'm so excited, Pete Lee. And then I will be in Portland on Saturday night, so get those tickets. And we just announced Florida dates. I will be in Fort Pierce and Daytona Beach in January. I think it's the 20th and then the 24th or something like that. You can
Pierce. Never heard of that.
I know, I don't know what that is.
Badass.
Andrew Collin messaged me and said I could stay with his dad on his farm.
yeah.
When I'm doing that gig. So maybe I'll do that and see that little donkey again that we pet. But okay, so yeah, you can get those tickets. They go on sale Friday, but pre-sale is on now for both of those shows, and you just type in good at pre-sale and you get pre-sale prices for those Florida shows. So I'll see you on the road. Thank you for listening. Don't be cuh. And Taylor, do you want to take this one?
I wasn't prepared to think of it. Just touch a dread if you can. Just wait.
But not on a black person.
No, only on a white person.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh my
let me
God.
redo it.
Yeah. No,
Just touch a white dread. Just touch a white dread.